All right, all yours.
Hi, I'm Rama Kiran. Welcome to my talk on design and analysis of reduced feedback skip user scheduling and MAC protocols for full duplex communication systems. This is the outline of the talk. First, we consider full duplex cellular systems. Here we propose a reduced feedback scheme for inter-user links. Then we propose a user page scheduling and mode selection algorithm for selecting uplink and downlink users and switching between full duplex and half duplex modes. Then we move to a new scenario. We consider a full duplex WLAN. Here we propose a protocol called asymmetric full duplex MAC protocol. And finally, we conclude the talk. Spectral efficiency improvement is a goal of cellular evolution. These are the goals of 5G communication. There are three goals. First is 5G aims to improve mobile broadband. This is for supporting applications such as augmented reality and virtual reality. Second goal is achieving highly reliable communication with low latency. This is for applications such as industrial automation and remote surgery. Third aim is 5G aims to connect a massive network of battery constrained devices. Here, energy efficiency is the key. One important thing to note is that spectral efficiency improvement is still a key goal. 5G aims to achieve spectral efficiency of 30 bits per second per hertz from current 15 bits per second per hertz of LTE protocol. Full duplex is one of the key technologies that is considered for achieving high spectral efficiency in 5G communication. Full duplex enables simultaneous transmission and reception of signals over the same bandwidth. Full duplex is expected to be implemented on advanced transceivers such as base station and access points. This is due to hardware complexity and cost involved. This is a asymmetric model where users are HD. Here we have example of asymmetric full duplex cell with full duplex capable base station and half duplex users. Here base station can receive from a uplink user while simultaneously transmitting to another downlink user. This is in contrast to half duplex, where either uplink communication happens or downlink communication happens, but not both simultaneously. This simultaneous uplink and downlink improves spectral efficiency of cell to twice that can be achieved with half duplex systems. However, this spectral efficiency gain comes new challenges. Here are new interference scenarios. First is self-interference at the base station. This is due to close proximity of uplink and downlink transceivers. Second is interference from uplink user to the downlink user due to simultaneous transmission. Third is co-channel interference from neighboring cells. Controlling self-interference is a goal of hardware design. Any transceiver is divided into three parts. First is antennas. Second is analog signal processing circuitry, and the third is digital domain circuitry. Here, depending on this partition, there are three mechanisms to cancel self-interference. At the antennas can be separated to suppress self-interference. And in analog domain, there are three possibilities depending on different stage of analog domain circuitry. First is self-interference can be suppressed at radio frequency circuits. Then it can be suppressed at intermediate frequency and baseband frequency. Similarly, self-interference can be suppressed after converting signals to the digital domain. Advanced hardware designs have shown spectral efficiency suppression of 110 dB can be achievable now. This essentially makes self-interference close to the noise floor. Controlling inter-user interference is role of user phase scheduling and mode selection algorithms. In user phase scheduling, the base station selects a pair of uplink and downlink users Intuition here is that it selects users with a low inter-user interference so that SINRs are high. In certain scenarios, it has been shown that half duplex gives better spectral efficiency compared to full duplex. For example, if users are very close to each other and self-interference at the base station is very high, in that case, half duplex is preferable over full duplex. This user pair scheduling and mode selection happens at the base station based on estimated uplink and downlink SINR. Here, if we have expression of downlink SINR, when uplink user is U and downlink user is D. Numerator is received power at user D and denominator is sum of inter-user interference between users U and D and co-channel interference from neighboring cells and noise power at user D. One thing is the base station can estimate values of received power at user D. That is because using reciprocity, it can estimate value of channel gain HD, and hence it can compute value of received power at user D. User D feeds back value of co-channel interference and noise power to the base station using half duplex feedback mechanism. However, the base station cannot estimate value of inter-user interference. That is because these inter-user channels are not connected to the base station, and hence it cannot estimate these values. The users need to feedback these inter-user interference values to the base station. In a cell with n users, there are total n choose 2 inter-user interference links. So this grows as order n square. This constitutes enormous feedback overhead on the users. That motivates us to propose the reduced feedback scheme and user pair scheduling and mode selection algorithm. This is our reduced feedback scheme. The base station initially schedules the user F. The criteria for selection is discussed in coming slides. The selected user feeds back L lowest user interference values that are below a threshold and corresponding indices. Here we have taken example of L equal to 3. Here users 1, 2, and 3 have 3 lowest interference values to user F. So they are feedback to the base station. One thing here we have to note is that even user 4 is also has interference value that is less than threshold, but it is not fed back to the base station. If there are no L users are available with the interference values less than threshold, then the available users are fed back. These interference values are quantized. Here there are two trade-offs corresponding to threshold value. If threshold value increases, then feedback set size increases. That is because there are more interference values are available now with the value less than threshold, and downlink SINR decreases. That is because interference is increased now. If threshold value decreases, then feedback set size decreases, and downlink SINR increases. Next, we present user pair scheduling and mode selection algorithm. This is a 3-step algorithm. In the first step, the base station selects a user that maximizes uplink and downlink SINR. If maximum value comes from pool of uplink SINR, then the scheduled user is the uplink user, else it is a downlink user. Here we have expression of uplink SINR and downlink SINR. Here we can see that the base station can estimate values of uplink SINR because it knows channel gain between itself and user U, and it can estimate values of interference at itself. In downlink SINR, it can compute value of received power at user D. This is as we have seen in the previous slide, and it knows value of sum of interference and noise power, but it cannot estimate value of inter-user interference at this moment. So what we do is we replace this inter-user interference value with the threshold gamma threshold. This allows us to compute a value of downlink SINR. One thing we can note here is that this value is always less than actual downlink SANR value. That is because the threshold value is upper bound on the inter-user interference. Hence, it is conservative value. The scheduled user F feedback set containing indices and indices of lowest inter-user interferences and corresponding interference values. Now, base station knows inter-user interference between user F and the users present in the feedback set. So it can compute values of some spectral efficiency. So if first scheduled user is a uplink user, then it has to schedule downlink user. It schedules downlink user by maximizing some spectral efficiency values. If first scheduled user is a downlink user, then it has to schedule uplink user for second link. Again, it maximizes some spectral efficiency and schedules another user. Base station selects half duplex mode in following two scenarios. If feedback set size is empty, then it selects half duplex, or half duplex mode gives better spectral efficiency compared to full duplex mode. Next, we present analysis of the user phase scheduling and mode selection algorithm. Here we consider single cell scenario and a special case of feedback scheme that is called index only feedback scheme. Here the user's feedback only indices of the users whose interference value is less than threshold. The base station considers conservative value of downlink SANR as the downlink SAN, actual downlink SANR. Here we have uplink SANR expression and downlink SANR expression. If based on transmitted power and noise power at the users and threshold value, if this condition is true, then we can always show that uplink SANR is greater than downlink SANR for a user. So in that case, base station selects always uplink user first. We consider this scenario. We can analyze for downlink, even downlink user first scenario, but due to time constraint, we are not presenting it here. These are expressions of uplink and downlink spectral efficiency of user phase scheduling and mode selection algorithm. Here, this is expression of spectral efficiency of uplink in terms of CDF and PDF of uplink SANR. Here we can see that there is product of CDF. This is due to base station selects first user that is maximum of all uplink SANR. Next, this is expression of downlink spectral efficiency. Here we can see that this value is dependent on feedback set. This is in terms of downlink SANR, CDFs and PDFs of downlink SANR. To gain more insight, we consider following scenario: when number of users in the cell is large and the channel gains between users and base station are IID and inter-user channel gains are also IID. We consider following two channel models. First is fading path loss model. Here channels experience both multipath fading and path loss. This is a very popular model in the literature and it is widely studied. Second model is fading. Second model considers shadowing along with fading and path loss. This is a realistic model but is less studied in the literature. We have seen following trade-off. When threshold value increases, the set size increases. So diversity in selecting second user also increases, but this decreases the value of downlink SANR. When threshold value decreases, the feedback set size also decreases. So diversity in selecting second user also decreases, but this boosts downlink SANR. Also, we have seen that maximum feedback set size is L. So if we select a threshold value according to this rule, that is 1 divided by n to the power zeta, where zeta is less than 1, then with probability 1, the feedback set size is always L. And this threshold value goes to 0. That makes downlink SANR independent of this threshold value, and it is the maximum achievable value. For decrement state, For threshold rate, if threshold decreases faster than beta equal to 1, then feedback set size is 0, that is feedback set is empty. This essentially makes base station switch to half duplex mode. This is suboptimal. For given value of threshold and this constraint on feedback set size, we can show that uplink spectral efficiency scales as log n. This is due to multi-user diversity. This is even true for half duplex system with MaxSNR scheduling. And downlink spectral efficiency is bounded by a constant that is due to feedback constraints that we impose on feedback set. Next, we move to fading, shadowing, and path loss model. Here, if threshold is selected according to exponential minus zeta root 2 log n rule, then feedback set size is L. This ensures maximum multi-user diversity in selecting second users. And threshold value for this threshold value selection rule, threshold value goes 0 for large n. Also, for decrement rate faster than zeta equal to 1, the threshold is suboptimal. This threshold value for fading and shadowing path loss model, the uplink spectral efficiency scales as root 2 log n. This is even true for half duplex system, but results are, for best of our knowledge, the results are not available in the literature. And the downlink spectral efficiency is bounded, that is due to feedback constraints. Next, we present simulation result. We consider single cell scenario. This is spectral efficiency plot. We have plotted spectral efficiency against threshold value. Here we have plotted for different values of quantization. When beta b equal to 0, it is index only feedback stream. B is infinity means it is unquantized channel gain feedback. B equal to 1 and 2 is 1 and 2 bit channel gain feedback. Here at the left, when threshold value is low, the spectral efficiency is also low. That is because there is less, the feedback size is low, and the diversity is also less. As threshold value increases, its spectral efficiency increases and again falls. That is because of reduced downlink SANR values.
Hey, Ramakiran, sorry to interrupt. I see a question. Somebody's raised a hand. Chandra, you raised a hand. Yeah, please go ahead.
So, just a quick question. How do you select your quantizer?
Quantizer is like we divided region below threshold value into equal intervals. If channel gains falls into one of the intervals, we round that off to the threshold above that.
Got it. Thanks.
Spectral efficiency is within 5.3% to 8.6%, depending on the channel quantization level. Next, we present threshold as a function of root log n. Here, n is varied from 100 to 500. For given value of n, the threshold value increases as a function of n. That is because it needs to ensure there are enough users in feedback set, and it decreases with n. That is because of availability of more number of channels. This is a plot of spectral efficiency versus root 2 log n. Here, spectral efficiency increases with value of n. This is due to multi-user diversity, and it increases along L also. That is because of improved multi-user diversity in selecting second user. Also, these are simulation plots. These are nearly linear curves, so this validates our asymptotic analysis. Next, we consider multi-cell scenario. Here we plot spectral efficiency as a function of number of users. Here we have considered two-tiered cells with co-channel interference. Here we have considered self-interference with self-interference factor of 110 dB. And we have considered L equal to 4. That is feedback set size is equal to 4. We consider index-only feedback, and we have plotted plots for two algorithms in literature, that is AKA1 and AKA2. The proposed user phase scheduling and mode selection algorithm gives better spectral efficiency compared to AKA1, and it gives better spectral efficiency compared to AKA2, but it's marginally close to it. That is because AKA2 uses unquantized inter-user channel gain feedback. Also, we have plotted exhaustive search algorithm. This is and half duplex system. Our algorithm gives better results compared to half duplex system. This is a summary. Controlling inter-user interference is a key channel in full duplex cellular communication system. Inter-user channel gain feedback overhead is very high. We proposed a reduced feedback scheme for inter-user links and user phase scheduling and mode selection algorithm that uses it. We derived a scaling loss for threshold and spectral efficiency. If full duplex improved spectral efficiency of cellular system, but it is not twice compared to half duplex. That is due to limited inter-user CSI feedback and various interferences. Next, we move to entirely different problem. Here we consider full duplex wireless local area network. Here wireless local area networks use distributed algorithms for scheduling users. Here challenges are entirely different compared to full duplex cellular systems. Before going further, we introduced CSMA-CA protocol that is used in widely used 802.11 protocol. Whenever AP and access point and users have packet to transmit, they set a backup counter that is selected uniformly from a contention window. The backup counter is decremented whenever the users and APC channel is idle. When one of the user or AP reaches backup counter equal to 0, then it sends a request to transmit packet. Here user A has reached backup counter 0. It sends request to transmit request to send packet to the AP. AP decodes this packet and sends clear to send packet to back to the user A. Then user A sends data to AP. After finishing the transmission, the AP sends acknowledgement to user A upon successfully decoding the packet. After a short duration, again all nodes start backup counter. However, if two nodes backup counter expires simultaneously, then this request to transmit packets collide. In that case, multi-user. This CSMA-CA protocol discourages transmission by multiple users. This is a system model we consider. We consider asymmetric model with full duplex capable AP and half duplex users. AP is connected to all the users, and users are connected to some of the users, and they are hidden from other users. For example, here if you take node 1, user 1, then it is connected to 9 and 2. This is indicated by connected line. NI indicates the users which are in interference value of user I. Here for 1, this is 3. So NI complement gives number of set of hidden users. The proposed asymmetric full duplex MAC protocol uses CSMA-CA based channel contention for selecting primary users. It sets backup counter and it sends RTS and CTS as we seen in the previous slide. The AAP schedules the secondary user to exploit full duplex on the reverse link. Here are three scenarios based on winner of channel contention. First is user initiate scenario. In this scenario, user sends RTS to the AP. Next is AP initiated scenario. In this case, the backup counter of AP expires and it sends RTS. Then there is possibility that both AP and user can simultaneously expire their backup counters. In that case, if destination of AP and user are hidden from each other, successful transmission can happen. We see these scenarios in detail in coming slides. In the user initiated scenario, for example, say user A's backup counter is expired, it immediately sends a request to send packet to the AP. Upon seeing activity in the channel, the base station sends access point sends a busy tone that is indicating hidden users that there is some transmission in the medium, so that they won't collide. After decoding RTS packet, the AP sends clear to send packet to the user A, and AP selects another user that is hidden from user A and starts sending data to that user. Here is user B. This user A and user B are hidden from each other. The user A sends data to the AP, and upon successfully decoding these packets, these AP and user B exchange packets. The AP initiated scenario. Here, AP wins the channel contention. It sends the RTS packet to user A, that is its destination node, and it intimates user B, that is hidden from user A. There is opportunity to transmit packet to AP. This is new packet we have introduced in the protocol. After this RTS, CTS, and FTRTS exchange, the AP sends data to user A, and user B sends data to AP. Here, AP's packet is shorter, so it sends busy tone, indicating hidden users that there is still packet transmission is going on, so they won't collide. After that, after this packet exchanges, there will be acknowledgement exchange, and again users and AP start contending for channel access. We consider saturated throughput scenario. Here, AP and all users have packet to transmit. AP has packets to transmit to all its destinations.
Ramakiran, interruption. There is a question from the audience. So
just one more question, Ramakiran, about the previous slide. So the AP is connected to all the users, right?
Yes, sir.
In your model. So what is the need for sending an FBT? Because all the users can hear that the data has ended. Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, continue, please.
So we approximate here. This is channel backup process of user I. For mathematical convenience, for make the model tractable, we make following. We model it as follows. In each slot, the user I transmits RTS packet with probability beta I, that is called attempt rate, and it continues to decrement its backup counter with probability 1 minus beta I. Whenever the user transmits RTS packet, it collides with probability gamma I. It's called conditional collision probability, that is conditioned on user I transmits packet. We use following two decoupling approximations. This helps. This makes attempt rate and conditional collision probabilities homogeneous in time. First is attempt process of user is independent of states of backup process of all other users and past transmission. Second is conditions on user is transmitting packet. The collision probability is also independent of past transmission. We compute this attempt rate and condition collision probability using Geneva theory and 6-point equations, as we see in coming slides. This model is very accurate that we can see in our simulation results. Here we have backup process of user I. Here packet J appears at the beginning of this backup process. It goes through multiple collisions and finally packet is successfully transmitted. Let I J be the number of attempts it has, number of attempts in transmitting packet J, and Xij be the number of backup counter decrements. Then using renewal reward theorem, it can be shown that attempt rate is equal to expectation of Rij divided by expectation of renewal interval. This is the expression for attempt rate of user I. Numerator is number of attempts, average number of attempts in a renewal cycle, and denominator is expected length of renewal cycle. These are sum of contribution from different renewal cycles where different number of collisions happen and packet is dropped. SI is probability that user I transmits packet as a secondary user. One thing we can see here is that beta is a function of conditional collision probability that we can see from this expression. We have seen that our system model is asymmetric, that is base station is FT capable and users see different number of hidden users. So AP's conditional collision probability is dependent on its destination. So for each destination, it has value for condition collision probability, and it has a attempt rate. This attempt rate is function of these conditional collision probabilities that we can see from this expression. Here, this expression numerator is summed from I equal to 1 to n, that is dependent on destination, and denominator is also again summed from averaged over different destinations. Next is conditional collision probability. We write conditional collision probability as a function of attempt rate. Here, this is conditional collision probability of node I. This is here first, second term is successful packet successful probability of in user's initiated scenario, and third term is successful packet transmission probability in AP from user selected scenario. Here, 1 minus this success probability gives conditional collision probability. We can see that it is a function of attempt rate. Similarly, when AP attempts to transmit the packet to I, this is a successful transmission probability. That is, when no user in its vicinity or interference range transmits the packet, then it is packet transmission is successful. 1 minus that is 1 minus that value is conditional collision probability. You can see that this is a function of attempt rate. So we have there are 3n plus 1 variables, that is attempt rates and conditional collision probability of node and conditional collision probability of AP, and there are 3n plus 1 equations in terms of attempt rate and conditional collision probability. We can solve this using numerical methods to get values of attempt rates and conditional collision probability. Next, we consider entirely different renewal cycle to compute saturation throughput. Here, now renewal interval is between two successful transmissions in the network. Here, user I transmits successfully. After that, user J transmits. The interval between these two successful transmission is a renewal interval. In between, the packets in the network go multiple collisions. Let theta naught be number of bits transmitted by AP in this renewal interval, and theta I be number of bits transmitted by user I in this interval. and T be the duration of this renewal interval. From renewal reward theorem, we can show that the saturation throughput is sum of this average number of bits transmitted by users and nodes, and average divided by average duration of renewal interval. This is function of attempt rate, which we have computed in the last slide. Next, I present topology average saturation throughput results. Here I have plotted normalized topology average saturation throughut normalized on transmission probability and number of users. These are different values of length of packets. I consider payload length of 1 kilobyte and packet transmission rate of 12 Mbps. This is taken from 802.11a protocol. These are topology average results. I averaged out 1,000 topologies. In each topology, two nodes are connected with probability 1 minus ph, and they are hidden from each other with probability ph. These are set of values for ph equal hidden node probability equal to 0.4 and 0.2, and we have plotted results for proposed protocol in simulation and analysis, and also different variants of this asymmetric full duplex MAC protocol, that is to compare protocols available in the literature. And also we have plotted values for 802.11 protocol. Here we can see that our proposed protocol gives 96% throughput gain compared to 802.11 protocol. This is the head of the line delay comparison between our proposed protocol and 802.11 half duplex protocol. Here, head of the line delay increases linearly with number of users, and it is more in 802.11 protocol. This is our proposed protocol improves head of the line delay by at least 56% compared when number of users in this cell is 19. This is the summary. We have seen that CSMA protocol discourages simultaneous transmission by multiple users. We have proposed a protocol to enable full duplex communication in wireless local area networks. We analyze throughput using renewal theoretic framework. The proposed algorithm protocol achieved twice spectral efficiency compared to 802.11 protocol, and it reduced head of the line delay by more than half. These are our conclusions. Full duplex is promising technology to improve spectral efficiency in next generation wireless communication systems. However, the self-interference and inter-user interference are the major challenge in designing full duplex communication systems. Cellular resource allocation and wireless local area network MAC protocols need to be redesigned to reap advantage of full duplex communication. These are the publications from our work. I have one journal paper in transaction and wireless communication and in TCOM. And I have presented on conference paper in GlobeCom last year.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Please just raise your hands and I can start taking them one by one. Thanks. Chandra? Please.
Yeah, so have you considered multiple antenna systems or no?
No.
Okay, so, okay.
Any other questions? All right. Okay. All right, I don't see any more questions, so I think we can stop here. So thank you all for attending. Stop recording.